Good evening. Welcome to View TV News. I'm Megha Chaddah in Hong Kong. Coming up tonight, a Beijing official warns that people who do not pledge allegiance to the central government should not be governing Hong Kong. And concessions from the United States as the White House gives TikTok an extension and lets Huawei source chips from American chip makers. The top story then, social distancing measures will be tightened once again starting Monday. This comes as Hong Kong reported 8 new COVID-19 cases today, one with an unknown source of infection. With many Hong Kongers keeping a keen eye on what's going on in Thailand. Could this spark another youth movement in Hong Kong, or is that done now? Let's hear from social sciences Professor Gary Tang, who's been studying the protests here. Gary, thanks so much for taking out the time to join us today. Do you see any signs at all with the Thai movement reigniting protests here in the city? It's hard to believe that it was only 7 months ago that we had US and China, sign that phase 1 trade deal. Things seem to be going hunky-dory, and it's been such an influx of factors that has led to this breakdown of relationships, of course, primarily driven by the coronavirus pandemic that has taken the world by storm.
Let's cross to Hong Kong, where Chief Executive Carrie Lam says the government's urgent priority is to restore the Chinese-ruled city's constitutional order. Lam has just made her annual policy speech, which had been postponed by more than a month. Well, let's bring in Megha Chaddah. She's been listening to that speech for us, and she's in Hong Kong. Megha, what are other Carrie Lam's priorities?
Well, clearly, it looks like her priority is politics over economics, I would say, in a way. A lot of her policy address was focused on seeking to relaunch Hong Kong, to rebuild its international reputation. And she repeatedly talked about how, people need to have faith in the central government's administration as well. She was talking about restoring people's confidence in the government. Interestingly, she made a statement where she said Hong Kong youth need to look north to broaden the scope for realizing dreams. And how exactly would that translate? The policy address touched upon a number of ways, Hong Kong would become a more integral part, or rather more integrated with China, especially within the Greater Bay Area. She spoke about how there would be wage subsidies given to people who move from Hong Kong to work in the Greater Bay Area. There would be greater transport connectivity. So it really seems like that the top line really was politics rather than economics.
Reuters correspondent Megha Chaddah has been following the story.
Well, if anyone was hoping for big announcements, they're likely to be disappointed. There was effusive praise for the chief executive from mainland authorities over her handling of the coronavirus pandemic and last year's pro-democracy protests. But there's next to no details on how and what sort of help Hong Kong's economy could get from the Chinese mainland. Frankly, the city may well need help. Unemployment here is at its highest level in a decade and a half, and GDP is expected to contract as much as 8% this year. One area some had hoped for change was in quarantine exemptions for travel between Hong Kong and the mainland. Lam, though, has apparently been told the city needs to be more stringent in its antivirus measures first. We are likely to get more details on November 25th, though, which is when the chief executive will give her delayed policy address.
And turning to Asian markets now, we've got the market wrap in Shanghai with Tim Pope. Megha Chaddah is live for us in Hong Kong, and Yoshida is in Tokyo.
A very weak day of trade here in Hong Kong, and we've ended just under that 23,300 mark, almost 1% off on the benchmark index. And stocks in Singapore took a breather on Friday after gaining for the first 4 days in the trading week. In Australia, shares closed higher on a cautious note, with gold stocks leading the gains as investors look to the safe haven metal. And lastly, a quick word on SMIC as well. China's biggest chip maker has been put on a credit watch by S&P, and that really led to about 1.5% being lost on this stock. Hello and welcome to this edition of Technical Analysis with me, Megha Chaddah. We'll be talking about 4 equities today across Aussie and US markets. Now for Nasdaq-listed Align Technology, which has also hit its price target, becoming a take profit. During the third quarter of 2020, Align's stock tested the support level of $290 and a higher low became evident. The stock then entered a fresh buy zone with a price target of $425. Recently, Align has seen a significant up move in price, and RSI 14 is also extending higher. This, along with lower trading volumes, indicates profits should be taken. All right, that's it for now. Join us again later for an update on the stories that are shaping your world. I'm Megha Chaddah, and this is View TV News.